Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, guys, who was Kyle Dubas scouting in Ottawa yesterday? So if we're taking a look at the Calgary Flames, they don't necessarily have a defenseman that I would be interested in. And if you've been watching the videos the last little while, you'll know that I'm more in favor of going out there and getting a defenseman than I am a forward. If you're interested in hearing why and who, I will leave a link above the screen. Now, the Ottawa Senators are dead last. They're 12-20-3. But they're also not the Buffalo Sabres. They've played the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames extremely well this season. They're a team that a lot of people describe as when they get decent goaltending, they are difficult to deal with. Connor Brown coming back to the Maple Leafs would be fun, but I don't think that's why Kyle Dubas was in Ottawa. Ryan Dzingel would be interesting since going back to the Ottawa Senators from the Carolina Hurricanes, where he had a bit of a miserable start, had a little bit of a resurgence. I don't know if it's just his superpowers are just limited to the city of Ottawa. Well, I mean, not even Ottawa, because the rink's not even in Ottawa. It's in Canada. So some more center depth would be nice, especially if Matthews' wrist injury is going to be something that persists and maybe keeps him out. I don't know. I want him 100% for the playoffs. So if he needs to sit out for a week or two, that's just, it is what it is, man. 18 goals in his first 18 games this season, 29 points. We were really robbed of what Auston Matthews' season could have been if not for injuries. And it's like, the regular season shouldn't really matter that much. I mean, if he wins the Conn Smythe Trophy, I don't really care if he misses out on the Maurice Richard. Am I right? But to go back to the Ottawa Senators here, there's a defenseman on their team that I think that the Maple Leafs would love to have. No, it is not Get Out. Get Out if you suggested Nikita Zaitsev. And that is Mike Reilly. No, not that Mike Reilly. That's a little joke that I guess Jay Fresh Hockey's got going on here on his player cards. By the way, all the links to the analytics sites will be in the description of the video. A lot of them just cost like $5, $6, $7 or so. If you're interested, if you want to, they're there. I'm going to start pumping them up because these people deserve it. Especially Jay Fresh Hockey, the work that he does here to implement it. It's so easy to read. Like if I'm looking at Mike Reilly here, he's a good offensive defenseman. He's produced offense this year. He's produced a little bit of defense, but not the greatest. Hasn't necessarily played that well on the penalty kill. And when we're looking at his quality of competition and his quality of teammate, those are two very telling stats. Because his time on ice is similar to what a third pairing defenseman would play. But if you're looking at his quality of competition, it's through the roof. This guy is playing against all the best players in the Canadian division right now, which would be very valuable in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. And he's doing it on the Ottawa Senators. There's not a lot of help to go around. So if we're looking at Mike Reilly here, he is a defenseman that I would want the Maple Leafs to take a swing at. He's not the defenseman. He's not the guy that I had on my wish list, but he would be an upgrade. He plays for another Canadian team, so he wouldn't have to quarantine. He makes $1.5 million against the salary cap. He's an upgrade to their third pair, drastically. He's a guy that if you had an injury, you could move up into the lineup and you wouldn't have to close your eyes. And I doubt that the Maple Leafs would get the Ottawa Senators to retain 50% of his salary. So the Maple Leafs are looking for other teams to do what they did with Robin Lehner last year and the Chicago Blackhawks and the Vegas Golden Knights. The Leafs served as the middleman there. Chicago sent Lehner to the Leafs. They retained money on him, and then they sent him to Vegas afterwards. The Leafs are looking for a team to do that for them this year. But if the Maple Leafs were to wait a little bit longer, this is what the money would look like on trade deadline day. They'd be $58K short, so they'd need someone to kick in that money. Now, as I started to think about it and look at the numbers, and look at the context and the situation of the expansion draft especially, I think it makes sense to include Alex Kerfoot in any trade that the Maple Leafs make, as long as they're getting another competent forward back. Because if it came down to it in the expansion draft, who would you rather the Maple Leafs keep? Justin Hall or Alex Kerfoot? Because if you go 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goalie, you're leaving one of these 4 defensemen unprotected. And that's the only way that you would be able to protect a guy like Kerfoot. If you're going a mix of skaters that add up to 8, this is who you would protect. And of course, Zach Hyman, I'm under the belief that the Maple Leafs already have a deal under the table and done. They're just waiting until after the expansion draft to announce that. If you want to watch that video where I go over what that contract could possibly look like, I believe that linked above the screen. So if they go 4-4 and they leave Kerfoot unprotected, Seattle's taking Kerfoot. He's the best player available out of the ones that are unprotected. So Alex Kerfoot, to me, is the same as a rental player, in my mind. The fact that he is signed for 2 seasons after this one doesn't have a whole ton of value to the Maple Leafs if they can't hold on to him for those years. But to a team like the Ottawa Senators, who could protect him, and for a team, it's a hard time for Ottawa to get players that want to go there. You'd be getting an upgrade on a guy like Dermott and Mike Reilly, who can slide up into the lineup if you needed him to. You're replacing Kerfoot with a player that's basically the same. He plays center, but also the wing. That's Ryan Dzingel, Alex Kerfoot. But you're saving money by doing so. And at that point, you have more cap space, so you're not done. And I don't think that trade requires a lot more than just Kerfoot. Maybe it's Kerfoot and a draft pick to get that deal done. Maybe it's Kerfoot and a lesser prospect to the Ottawa Senators, and then you flip a draft pick to that third-party team that's retaining the salary. Coming out of this trade, you still should have your first-round pick. You still should have all of your top prospects. The Maple Leafs could be primed and ready after a deal like this to make another one. And if you're going to have Dzingel play on the wing, you could really use another center. Is that Mikael Granlund? Is that Eric Stahl? I don't know. There's not very many centers available right now, if I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, it's not what I wanted. It's not Jamie Alexiak. It's not Matthias Ekholm. It's not David Savard. But at the same time, these are upgrades. These are upgrades. And if the Maple Leafs can get more consistent goaltending, or if Anderson can come back from the injury and be who he was his first about 10 games of the season or so, they are going to win games. They should come out of the Canadian division at that point. What happens after that? I don't know. It depends on the health. It depends on a lot of different things that we can't predict right now. I can't confidently speak on what would happen in the third round of the playoffs right now because there's so many variables. We just don't know. But to answer the question that I asked at the beginning of the video, who was Kyle Dubas in Ottawa to watch? I think it's Mike Reilly and Ryan Dzingel for Alex Kerfoot. I think that's the reason why he's there. So make sure to like the video if you did like it and subscribe for more because more is always on the way. And guys, remember, really just want to see some trades.